What's up, everybody? It's been a long time, but I've been falling off the face of the earth. It's been a rough year. I've had paid some high prices for things I've let out, but I've been keeping busy. I've got videos to put out. Been doing a lot of DNA testing and following the English royal bloodline, and I've come to a theory that this is the bloodline of Cain. As I'm also related to the bloodline, um, fifth cousins once removed to Princess Diana, and I'm related through my mother. My great grandmother was a Carter, and somewhere along the line was a Spencer and a Churchill. But DNA tests have confirmed that I am related, and I'm Rh negative. I'm O negative, and I've been following, tracing through the bloodline and the English bloodline, finding my roots, and I found that the whole bloodline's a fallacy. Actually, that they aren't any true kings, nor do they have any rights to be kings. Because oddly enough, my father's side, where my bloodline is through the bloodline of Japhet, and through DNA tests, where I can't get exact DNA numbers for the royal family, but I can get DNA numbers from people closely related to them, and so I can get a pretty good idea. And our bloodlines show, I mean, the DNA shows that we're related, but oddly enough, it shows that we never had the same father. We never had a same father in common, which is pretty strange. Because they're not from. It appears like they aren't from the bloodline of Noah. It shows like they're related to the bloodline of Noah, but they aren't from the bloodline of Noah. I don't believe they're from the bloodline of Shem, or the bloodline of Ham, as they're all from Germany, oddly enough. And research and find out, really, Germany actually conquered the world, and no one even realized it, because the whole English monarchy, they're Germans. Their whole ancestry is from William the Great and Charlemagne, the first Roman emperor, who was obviously a Satanist, as he he built the Catholic Church. And if you just look everything through the history of that bloodline, it's clear as day they're fucking Satanists and Freemasons. And I believe that this is the bloodline of Cain, and possibly even the bloodline of Lilith, because I've come to a realization looking through DNA numbers and doing research. The RH should never have existed, at least according to the Bible. Because according to the Bible, Adam and Eve had Cain and Abel, and they never had any daughters. Adam and Eve never had a daughter, and Cain and Abel never had a daughter. And because of that, that would mean Eve's bloodline died out at that point. And she was the only Rh negative. Unless, according to the Jewish Bible, Lilith was the first woman. And the story goes she was Adam's first wife. And in the story, it says she had multiple children. And it didn't say who the fathers are. And as of that, that is the only source of a female Rh negative that's in the Bible, or even in the stories, which is very concerning. And I wonder myself, as a Rh negative, as my life has been quite straight out of a fucking science fiction novel. You know, ever since I was born, you know, the devil's been in my life. And according to through my family, like my father never had crazy shit like that happen to him before until I was born. You know, all types of weird shit started happening. Fucking my mother had TVs thrown at her. I had the devil come after me when I was just over 3 years old, and I was saved by angels. And my whole life, you know, I became a targeted individual, and I really wonder, because going to DNA tests, I tested my mother's DNA, and it's supposedly 30,000 years old, which doesn't line up with a lot of things. It's a lot older than my bloodline, which is M269, R1B M269, also called now the Nine Hostages. And it's only about 8,000 years old. And I believe, from what I read in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it tells a story about Noah that's not in the Bible. It tells the story of Noah's not blood father, his father who took care of him. When his wife was pregnant, he went to Enoch and said, "My wife's pregnant, but this is not my son. I haven't touched her." And Enoch told him that God impregnated his wife, and he was to have a special son who had a purpose, and he was to raise him as his own. And everything I've researched shows this to be true. From my DNA tests, everything's just about only 8,000 years old, and autosomal DNA testing, um, and the Y chromosome testing, everything shows that M269 originated in Turkey around 8,000, 10,000 years ago, where it's starting to become well known that's where Noah landed, and that's where the sons were embarked. But the bloodline of the English throne, it's not from the bloodline of Noah. Our DNA codes show that we had completely different fathers. Now, the only way that seems possible is if they were the bloodline of Cain. As I was told from spirits long ago, that Cain wasn't the son of Adam, and that's why Cain killed Abel. And from what I've seen from DNA codes, I think it's very possible. It the stories add up completely, as they aren't from the bloodline of Japhet, and I don't believe they're from the bloodline of Ham or Shem. The friend of mine did bring a point to me about the Danish. They might very well be the tribe of Dan. Oddly enough, I did my DNA reports. They show they explain the migration of the that the Germans came from Egypt originally. That's what their theory is, and I don't believe so. I believe they came from towards the Switzerland area, where where they found the Neanderthal, and which I've also found out through DNA tests and stuff, about the blood type A negative. It is a mutation. It's a mutation of the O negative blood. It's a mutation from the Neanderthal being AB positive, and then mixing with an O negative male, and then babies became AO and BO. But there's a secret in science that they aren't telling people, in that we have two different blood types. I'm an O negative, so I have two O's. If you're A negative, that means you're AO. If you're B negative, that means you're BO. If you're A positive, that means you're AO. You're AO, as everyone has the O negative allele. But I believe this could very well be the bloodline of Satan, and this is why people see reptilian eyes. At the very least, this bloodline has given their souls. They've sold their souls over as Freemasons and whatnot, and they're possessed. They're demonically possessed. Somehow the devil has it worked out to have his minions born into this bloodline, and it very well may be from the bloodline of Lilith, even too, because I found she's very real, and I actually believe Lilith is actually Satan himself. They are one and the same, as Satan is the original trans trans as the Baphomet being half how he has breasts and whatnot. That's he he can be he's multi personality. That's why I found he's fucking psycho, and I think he goes both ways. I guess depending on his mood, whatever suits his insane situation. And but 30,000, like Cain only came here 60,000 years ago. So it's only been 30,000 years since at least my O negative allele suddenly came into the picture. And I actually even think it all traces actually, they tell me, to Ukraine and Russia, oddly enough. And as but I did find an interesting little piece. Through my DNA testing, uh, it gives me numbers of other people with my same DNA, where they're located, and where their families are from. And I've gotten quite a few people that were American Indian, which I found very interesting. And it is something I've been been concerned for a while, that I thought even that they didn't come from Russia, that the RH negative might have very well came out of the United States. Because if you really look at what happened after the flood, America was separated from the rest of the world. You know, all this crazy wars and history happened in Europe, but we have no idea what was happening in the Americas, as we had no idea it existed, and God did that for a reason. But now, you know, Satan plans in effect, as the germ it's found it all comes from Germany, and Germany has a lot of deep root in Satanism. In Germany, there's actually a statue of um, of a demon called Victoria, and it's supposed to be she's supposed to drive the chariot for Satan. And there's a huge monument in Germany. There's a huge story of how Barack Obama wanted to give a speech right right under it, you know, for some Illuminati programming. But I believe that this is at the bloodline of Cain, and it might even be the bloodline of Lilith too. You know, as they've interbred for centuries, and I still haven't even fully figured the exact father, because like their king their royal bloodlines all fucked all fucked up. It's not legitimate. I should say, because they never came from kings. They were self made kings, so to speak. An emperor isn't a king, and doesn't have the rights of king. You can only be born a king, born into a kingdom, the kingship, or be granted kingship by God. But that's what I've found, and it leads to even more questions, as really, where did the female Rh negative come from? I know where the male Rh negative came from. He came from Noah, and I believe Cain was an Rh negative also too, and all the R1B, as history has shown. Like, we're not related to the Neanderthal. We aren't related to the Cro-Magnon, and so on. We're only related through the mother, which there might be even another answer, that the Rh negative woman mothered everyone, and that's a possibility. That's unknown, because unfortunately they don't do anything. They don't. Science is very hush hush on blood types. They don't want people figuring out that people are actually different, and it shows. Everything shows that the R1B is completely different from everyone else, and I even think it's even a lot deeper than that. As they say, all humanity came from R1B, but it doesn't add up. They say it came from Africa, but yet Africa isn't even 10% R1B. It it doesn't. The math doesn't make any type of sense. It it shows that even the numbers, they don't add up. Even when you throw in mutations and whatnot, it it doesn't the math doesn't add up. It shows that we're completely alienated from the rest of the world. And my theory, I actually don't believe we were created. I actually believe that we are the product of the angels falling in love with the daughters of men. I think that's the actual true story of of our creation. And everything we know about, like, angels, demons, dimensions. The more I learn through life, fucking the wackier and fucking crazier it is. Like, after living life and learning what I know, like, I almost can't doubt anything. Like, anything is just about possible. You know, nothing is. We exist. All this. You know, no matter how you try to break it down, you know, the answer is always gonna be there's this shouldn't exist at all. And this is our journey in life, our life through hell. You know, as the Bible says, Satan was cast down to earth, and everything that seen, Satan rules this earth with a fucking iron fist. You know, I believe that our purpose here is a test. This is the ultimate test, the ultimate, virtual test, of free will. That we have to suffer and live through, just like the prophets, just like a Seppi. Oh, and that's actually why I forgot why I wanted to point out of how this is the Satanic bloodline in Revelations. I should have pulled up the verse, but in Revelations, when Jesus is talking to John, I believe he says to him that where his faithful where his faithful follower Asepi was killed is where the throne of Satan is, where Satan dwells among them. And who killed Asepi was actually the Romans. It was Nero, Emperor Nero, it is to believe. They put him in a cauldron of a bull and fucking lit it on fire and burned him to death because of his beliefs in Christ. And he died a martyr. And in the Bible it states that where the throne of Satan is and where Satan dwells is those who killed Asepi. And those who killed Asepi was the Catholic Church, which was also said by Charlemagne the God, who was actually from Germany, and the start of the Satanic Empire. And they just branched off into another to their own sect. It's it's crazy how it unfolds. As I believe the Templars, they were clear Satanists, and you can find that in their fucking in their churches with their upside down pentagrams, and also with them worshiping the Baphomet. I believe that they would just say they were given free pass to not hide their true intentions, because the Catholic Church is actually run by Satan, unfortunately. And when I battled Satan, I brought him to a Catholic church, and I was actually quite amazed how the demons were able to run amok in a Catholic church with no repercussions and nothing keeping them out, which was troubling to see. And give me all the more that I believe that this bloodline is the bloodline of Satan, through the bloodline of Cain and possibly Lilith. as that's the only answer for a female Rh negative, which is which makes me wonder, that's is that why Dark Cloud has followed me my whole life? Why the devil has been so interested in me? Because I came from the blood, and he would call me his little brother. And I'll have to go. I'll make another video with my interactions with that fucking maniac. Fuck you, fucking Satan. Fucking punk ass. Fucking glad I got rid of that fucking fucker. Sayonara. But that's gonna be my update. That's my update on my research. And anyone has any answers, I would love to hear the theories of where the Rh negative X chromosome came from, because it didn't come from Eve, unless there was daughters that were never spoken of, which is always a possibility. As there is somewhere there's a story of one of Noah's daughters supposedly going to Ireland. But that's gonna wrap it up for that part. And I'll keep on digging. And when I come up with some more info, I'll hit up. I'll keep in touch, y'all. Peace.